Humans are the most intelligent species on this planet.
This is the beginning of a sci-fi movie. Ivan said that, and now we're ruled by robots. Oh my god, AI is gonna take my job.
It will revolutionize the way that we work.
I am so sick of AI startups, so sick. Welcome to the show, bro.
As Chief AI Officer at Quadcode, Ivan is leading a revolution in how businesses use artificial intelligence to personalize and scale smarter.
Always focused on building a smarter, more responsible digital future.
AI still has space to grow, so I'm trying to be an ambassador for AI. Remember going to conferences and hearing...
Poor blockchain. What happened to blockchain?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It still exists.
But no one gives a fuck anymore. Isn't it like that? Is there anything that makes you a bit scared? Hello. Welcome to another episode of Made in Cyprus, big business story from a tiny island, or Mitzia Larotsi, like many of us remember us. Today, what we have today? To have a really good episode. And this wouldn't be a business podcast and a technology podcast, because a lot of the talks by being in Cyprus are around tech or fintech or prop tech or whatever tech. So we're going to be talking about AI. Everyone talks about AI. If you live in this planet, your ears are probably bleeding by AI. Your yaya probably knows about AI and talks about the AI. So we said, fuck it, we also need to talk about AI. But we're going to try and take it in a bit slightly different angle. Today with me, we have a really smart person, someone that I connected with at several times, but more recently at the Fuck Up Nights. And loved his story, loves his take. Love his job title because he's an AI officer, and I thought this is the epitome of the AI trend, having AI officers in companies. Ivan Sysoev, Chief AI Officer of Quadcode. Welcome to the show, bro.
Thank you for having me, Martin.
AI officer, tell me about that.
So it's funny because it's a very recent title that became popular only in the past 4 or 5 years, I would say. But very, very popular, especially in Silicon Valley. You can't find a company that doesn't have a chief AI officer. The idea is consolidation of strategic vision about AI implementation and innovation, let's say under one branch. Because companies have started realizing that AI and let's say everything under the hood of AI, which is machine learning, data science, even sometimes analytics, all of this cannot be scattered throughout the company. So marketing does their own AI, product does their own AI, maybe support and client relations does their own AI. If there is no comprehensive total vision of how to implement it strategically, it can get lost very quickly and business stops believing in the potential of AI actually transforming the product or the whole customer journey. Therefore, the chief AI officer, let's say, is a glorified title of just a person who's responsible for just the strategic part of it.
You're the integrator, basically, pulling everything together into the same kind of AI strategy, yeah?
Correct, yes. Making sure that everybody is on the same page. Whoever has to do with AI is doing it within the same frameworks of not only ethical and legal regulations of what is demanded currently of EU companies in terms of AI, but also in terms of strategical and product and vision part.
I love that. Ivan, you are the most handsome and the smartest, most well-spoken mathematician or person that studied math that I ever met in my life. When at Fuck Up Nights, you told me your background about math, and I said, no way. I was expecting like a chubbier, shy, introverted, super smart, but slightly awkward person. And you are the complete opposite of that. So for the people that don't believe that, can you tell us a bit more about your background and, tell us about maths, tell us about econometrics and all of those stuff. What brought you here?
Sure. To the people who don't believe it, I can bring out a whiteboard, do some proofs in mathematics if you want some theorems.
Go beautiful mind on us.
Sure, no problem. No, okay, the truth is, and this is the truth and the whole truth. In high school, I was actually a theater kid. So last year of high school, I starred in a musical production.
Yeah.
Main role, I was a wedding singer. I was running around dancing and singing on stage.
Pure extrovert.
Pure extrovert all the way through, yes. And when it was time to go study, I can't say that math was my favorite thing. Of course, people who heard my Fuck Up Nights speech remember this. It wasn't necessarily what I loved to go into it. It was the name of the course was econometrics. So I thought it would be about economics, And boy, was I surprised when the entire of the first year was all pure math.
Oh.
And I was even more surprised when I failed everything in the first year and had to really sit down and work hard in order to actually understand what was going on. But yeah, in the end, it's like Stockholm Syndrome. I kind of fell in love with it. I understood that mathematics, like, it has a certain intuition that just clicks at some moment. The closest I can say is people who play chess. In the beginning, when you start playing chess, you just look at the board and all the scattered pieces and you don't understand how it's all interconnected. But at some point, after practicing for many, many hours and learning all the different aspects and everything, it just starts clicking in your head. You just see the board, you understand the position. And math is the same thing. After a very long time of practicing and learning it, you just gain this super intuition. It actually becomes, I don't want to say easy, but it becomes intuitive, like an intuitive subject. And so I finished my degree. I was very lucky because in my last year, during the thesis writing period, I was offered to write a thesis about actual machine learning models and from the mathematical side of it. So like optimizing certain ways that machine learning models actually learn. And so I took it, and that was my journey into AI that hasn't stopped since then.
It's very interesting. Is that a common path, going from econometrics to from math, from mathematician into deep tech?
I would say probably not. The only way I can see, because you said it's popular, right? I would say it is if you finish the PhD in math, and then you go directly to being like a chief scientist at a super large company, actually responsible for writing the AI algorithms for that company. But the part that I do, which is, okay, it still includes a lot of actual writing code and machine learning and training models. This is not the common path. Usually it's coming from computer science.
Yeah.
So computer science graduates specialize in actual like machine learning algorithms. They learn how to write the code and how to implement it, and that's how they end up into being machine learning engineer and then grow into management.
I can bet that when you were at a child school, they asked you what you want to do, what you want to be, what you want to be when you grow up. You probably didn't say AI officer. So how did you got into that from machine learning?
Okay, yeah, I started in let's say data scientist part, and very quickly understood that the part that was the most interesting to me and that I was the most successful at in my job wasn't the actual writing of the code and training of the models to a successful degree of accuracy. It was what happens with them after. How do they become integrated? So for example, if you're writing a model that, a recommendation engine, for example, how do you then integrate it in a way that it becomes useful? Is it just a email delivery system which sends, hey, you might also like this? Or is it integrated somehow inside of the search engine of the product? Is it maybe through tips and pop-ups, etc.? This part was more interesting to me, and that's like the whole building of the product and thinking out the entire strategy of the implementation. I got the chance to do a few projects, and it worked fantastically. And thankfully, board of directors decided that AI needs to be a singular strategy and vision. And I was appointed to oversee this aspect of the product, yes.
Brilliant. And Ivan, AI was, I think, before ChatGPT, but ChatGPT really made it popular. So can you help us understand what's the journey, before and after? What is the state of AI as well applied to business?
Sure, of course. We're all the people who are working in the AI space right now are very grateful to ChatGPT.
Yeah.
For
I don't want to go back to a life without ChatGPT. I swear, I don't want to.
Definitely.
I don't want to.
And beyond the tool itself, just the contribution that it had towards the brand of AI.
Yes.
All of a sudden, everybody wanted a piece of it.
Exactly. And that's what I'm interested, because your job title is, you said it's 5-6 years, so ChatGPT is very recent in its boom. So what was before, what was after?
Definitely the beforehand of large language models is the classical data science and machine learning aspect. So it's, if you think about it, ChatGPT is just, in a very, very, very simple terms, a model that very accurately tells you which word needs to come next in a sentence. Yeah. This is what it does. Even when you ask it a question, it doesn't understand that it's answering your question. It sees the question and the answer as the same context, and it just knows from its vast training data that when a sentence finishes with a question mark, with a specific token, what comes after is usually a statement that describes the answer to the actual sentence before.
That's why it's also very mechanical. On the simplest form, it starts answering the question by repeating the question, actually.
Exactly, yes. This is one of its artifacts of this learning method. So other models exist before ChatGPT, and specifically in GPT, the T stands for transformer. We're not talking about the Michael Bay successful series of movies of Transformers. Transformer is just a mathematical architecture for a replication of, okay, lots of people love this explanation, of a neuron inside of your brain. How does a neuron remember patterns? How does it recall relationships from what it has previously seen?
Yeah.
The Transformer is just great. It came out, I believe, 2019. It was an amazing revolution, specifically for the GPTs, but for the people who really want to go into research in the mathematical side, the paper is called "Attention is All You Need." This was revolutionary. Also, this paper, academic paper, is like a meme inside of the AI space because its name is completely different from usually. Usually, it's like a deeper dive into the gradient networks, et cetera, et cetera. And this paper that revolutionized completely AI is called "Attention is All You Need." That's it. Such a simple title.
It's interesting. They were almost making it, even the paper consumer face, right?
Exactly.
They were almost they knew that this is the step where it's no more geek. It
Definitely.
becomes wide knowledge.
This was the explosion. But before the Transformer, there were other architectures which were not good enough for words, for language. They were creating very, very funny looking texts, but they were still predicting very well in terms of like normal time series models. So like what comes next, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they were very good at these tasks. Just the Transformer allowed us to do it with language and with written word. And now even with spoken word, with audio models. Yeah. But this was the AI space, and back then, AI was considered this tool for converting your, let's say, data strategy inside of your company from what we describe as descriptive analytics, which is, for example, I can bring your report of what happened last month, the month that finished, what happened in the company, what was the breakdown by geographical maybe regions that you're working in, by the products that you're offering, etc., by your contracts. And this is descriptive, into prescriptive. So prescription, like what the doctor gives you in the pharmacy. It's an analytical tool that allows you to actually get insights into what to do next. So it can tell you, well, look, last time in, for example, Cyprus market, this is what you had, this kind of numbers. But if you do this, next month, you're going to double.
Yeah, so it was an internal tool to translate data into insights. Yeah,
correct.
Big amount of data into something that people can understand. And what is going on now? What is the current state of AI? Obviously, we know ChatGPT, but like, how ready and how finished is AI apply to business? What's your view?
I definitely think that we are in the integration step right now. So everybody is getting their piece of the API puzzle. They're just integrating these ready-to-consume AI tools into their products, which is definitely a great and brilliant thing because it already improves customer experience by offering, let's say, a more human-like approach inside of the products that it's being integrated into. However, I'm noticing more and more that the classical AI is having a resurgence inside of companies in terms of creating this data-driven strategy and data-driven culture due to the popularity of the AI. Also because now AI is able to sometimes facilitate this generation of code to provide insights. So we're seeing a complete blossoming of the entire space just thanks to the popularity of the Gen AI like ChatGPT and large language models. However, I believe that the future is going to be behind a very complicated interplay between these generative models and these models are going to learn how to use more classical models to provide insights. So at the end, it will be like...
it was like an incest of AI.
Yes, exactly. They're going to all get together. You've probably heard this term recently called agentic AI.
Yeah.
So when one AI, let's say, orchestrates a set of tools based on a request that you ask the AI tool to do, it then orchestrates for you an array of tools which will perform a task, make an analysis, book your plane tickets, etc. and then provide you with a response of what it has done. So this agentic AI is seeing a very, very powerful, like you said, incestuous kind of boom inside of the AI space itself. It's very, very good at doing analytics when asking it plain text questions.
What makes you excited about AI, and is there anything that makes you a bit scared?
What excites me the most currently is causal AI. So this is AI that allows you to go beyond correlation. So I can tell you, for example, that correlation tells you that there's a strong relationship in terms of correlation between the number of shark attacks and the kilograms of ice cream sold on Australian beaches every year.
Okay.
As you can understand, one doesn't cause the other in any kind of way. It's not like the more shark attacks there are, the more people buy ice cream, or vice versa. There is a confounder in the middle, which is probably heat. So summer, everybody's going into the beach, they're eating ice cream and getting attacked by sharks.
Yeah.
But correlation, which is the classical tool that people use in order to do analysis on their data, they would tell you these two things definitely have a relationship. Causation allows you to go beyond that and actually see what causes what, and to do interventional studies. So you're able to perform what are called natural experiments on your data, where you're able to use very sophisticated AI algorithms in order to say, for example, if I would have done this differently inside of my product, if I would have changed my onboarding to be this way or that way, what would have happened to the metrics? And it's able to answer these kinds of questions.
Exploring possibilities.
And give you advice as if it is a doctor trained specifically for your case. It's very, very powerful. And there's a big part of generative AI in there as well, in terms of translating these complicated algorithms into actionable insights that management can read, because management doesn't like to look at long reports with data.
Give me the bullet points.
3-4 bullet points and big numbers preceded by dollar signs.
Yeah. I think that's quite frankly what revolutionized my life and the way I go about business, is that like being able to digest and understand vast amount of data much quicker. Research it's become much easier now. ChatGPT launched some time ago the deep research tool as well, which I started to use for my brand strategies and for client research. Hundreds and hundreds of different sources digested in a few minutes, and then with a beautiful report. I mean, like beautiful place, beautiful times to be alive. I think right now with this type of technologies. Is there anything that leaves you a bit iffy, a bit unsure on AI?
I'm worried that people are using it to think sometimes. Like I always wonder about the emails that I receive, because when I receive an email, it immediately goes into an AI that summarizes it to me and provides actionable insights of what I can take for every email that I receive.
Yeah.
But I can almost guarantee that whoever wrote that email to me probably used ChatGPT, wrote down 3 bullet points of what they want to convey to me in terms of information, and asked, now write a long, very formal, polite email, and that email ends up just getting read by ChatGPT on my side. So this kind of we're using AI currently as this kind of interface of communication between one another, and sometimes even using it to make decisions. So for example, I'm not completely saying that what your use of deep research in ChatGPT, that it's a bad thing for brand research. However, if you were to fully rely on its output, this would be very risky for you and for your business.
Yeah.
And I guess less experienced entrepreneurs who are entering into the space that you work in would potentially use it without a grain of salt. They would use it directly, and this is scary to me.
Yeah, because I think the whole fascinating element of at least the current state of AI is the input-output conversation, right? So me and you can use AI to do exactly the same thing, write a novel, but then the output of my output and your output can be wildly different. And I think you're right. I think some people. I think we're getting lazy. It's in our nature to get lazier. We walk less because we got the cars, before because we had horses and carriages and so on, right? It's in our nature, like the technology advances us, but also makes us lazier, makes us think a bit less. And I see it a lot in my LinkedIn content as well. A lot of the comments, they're just vomited AI stuff. You can see the dashes, the punctuation, the mechanical writing. And I think language is a beautiful thing. storytelling is a beautiful thing, and I don't think we shouldn't allow AI to take over of that, because then we become zombies.
I agree with you. And it's interesting that you bring it up about a language, because we really are, as humans, as a species, we're so egotistical about the way that we view language. Okay, from one aspect, yes, poetry, beautiful lyrics and music, it's a great thing that we have these amazing works of art that utilize language. However, it is just a tool of communication, right? It's in the world of technology, it's like a data bus. It's a way for me to convey data from my brain into your brain that you will be able to understand and nod when I speak. But when we build AI systems, we are so egotistical to the point that we don't allow these models to reason outside the bounds of our own language. And not only that, outside the bounds of the language that we understand best as speakers. So this is an interesting philosophical thing, because if you've ever used one of the reasoning models and you ask it a question in English, it immediately starts thinking, okay, so the person wants to know about this. It's thinking in English. If you're fluent in multiple languages, try asking the same question to a reasoning model in different languages and see how wildly different the different reasoning in different languages, how different the answers are going to be.
Interesting. Why? Is it because it was trained by one key language? Is it translating?
It is not translating. So it trained on vast amounts of data. And it hasn't trained just on English data.
Okay.
It trained on Romanian, Italian, Spanish, English, Portuguese, all kinds of data. And the languages which are spoken by native speakers, it carries certain bias of the place that you're from.
Yeah.
So, for example, if the data that it was trained was in French, for example, we're talking about the Francophone countries with their Francophone biases, with their Francophone approach towards life and thinking. If it's Spanish, it was the same kind of places like Mexico, Spain, etc. in the world. Okay, English is let's say the most general case because there's everything. But the tools that learn from the content that they consume, like machine learning models, they learn the biases as well.
Yeah.
Therefore, this reasoning is seen when you ask it in different languages the same question.
Yeah, I think the bias is number one issue now with how these models are being trained, right? And I remember, Amazon abandoned their recruitment tool because it was favoring male candidates. Facial recognition was doing racial discrimination, being unable to, even understand people of color or different ethnicity because it was trained mostly on Caucasian or white people. So it goes back into the input and output, right? So if this technology is given to a specific type of people of power, then that's the river of output you're gonna take. That's the channel it's gonna give you, right?
This is why I'm very grateful for the EU AI Act that is coming into force fully this year. It specifically forbids the use of AI technology for these things, for very large decisions, for biometric tracking, etc. So AI is not permitted without very, very, very deep research. It's a very complicated act. Its implementation will be very difficult for a lot of companies, especially companies from abroad who are trying to do business in the European Union.
Yeah, like Apple and a new iOS, right? So all the AI features are not existing in Europe.
Yeah, it's very difficult for them to enter the market. But for a good point, EU is trying to protect their consumers the same way how they did with the GDPR laws.
Yeah.
Everybody cried about it for a couple of years, but they complied. And who can boast the kind of data protection that we have in Europe outside of it? I mean, it's really great for the end consumer. Yeah. The AI Act aims to achieve exactly the same thing, to avoid true harm being done to large populations of people, whether they're minority, majority, whatever it is, using AI tools, and to set up supervisory organs of committees, scientists, researchers that will be making sure from an unbiased standpoint, so not people who own shares in the company who is developing this AI, making sure that it's definitely according to the ethical standards. Yeah. And this is very important. I believe that everybody who is in the AI space has to who is making big decisions about how big strategical decisions about how AI products and AI models are being integrated and created inside of products which interface directly with customers and consumers, they really need to think about ethics and dive very, very deep and make a conscious effort to be ethical and moral in the way that the AI tools work.
Yeah, makes sense. And the other big conversation, obviously, with AI is around, oh my God, AI is going to take my job. Humans will not work anymore. What's the truth in that, or like what is your general sentiment on this?
There's definitely a lot of things that each and every one of us does at work that are boring, mundane, repetitive, and you would be happy and I would be happy to get rid of them tomorrow.
Yeah.
There are very few jobs which consist entirely of these monotonous, laborious tasks. AI at the moment is able to almost exclusively perform repetitive, laborious, boring tasks. Therefore, I would say that AI will not be able to directly take away jobs de facto, an entire market of the labor, or the entire segment of a labor market disappearing. However, it will revolutionize and change the way that we work in whatever position it is that we work. Especially the more you work with technology, the more the impact will be felt. Coding, for example, this is something that I say often and people disagree with me, and I'm happy about that, but I want to see how it works out. The space of coding, I'm very afraid for junior developers who are just getting started, because they're being taught to code from the start, right? Like specifically how code works on the surface level, like how to write this code. However, senior developers, they're at a level where to them writing code, it feels like second nature. And they're thinking about more deeper things, like making sure that the code is as optimal as possible, that it's is integrated as possible, tested as possible, etc. So AI tools in terms of coding will not completely replace development, but what they will do is they will turn senior developers into this kind of architect position in which they're just going to be able to draw out architectural diagrams of how they imagine their code base to look, their microservices, databases, etc. And then the AI tools will be able to create on the level of a junior developer all of the code bases required that a senior developer will just complete in very, very small amount of time using their knowledge. So there is going to be a higher barrier to entry, but maybe it feels like a higher barrier to entry right now because of the way that the educational system works in software development and computer science. Maybe as this will start happening, we're going to see a different approach towards education. So people, instead of being learning specifically software development, they're going to be learning about architecture, software architecture, and common principles in terms of software development, so they can enter these more AI optimized tasks.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I guess the question is not about if AI will take my job, it's more about what can I do to level up my job with AI.
Definitely. This is something that every company needs to consider at the moment, is upskilling every single employee with AI.
With a layer of AI.
Definitely. So everybody can be a lot more productive at work if they're using AI tools. Not mindlessly, of course. However, if properly AI tools are set up and utilized for these boring tasks, these manual tasks, sometimes even for resource management and sometimes even for time management at work. These are also things that AI tools can do. Everybody can become a lot more productive. And instead of thinking of replacement, I'm speaking directly to the top management. In terms of thinking about replacement of departments, for example, like the first proposal is always customer support, right? Who needs customer support when you can have a chatbot? We know from many very unsuccessful experiments that it doesn't work this way. People do not want to exclusively chat with a chatbot.
Yeah, I think the first thing that they do, chat to human, chat to you.
Exactly.
Give me a human, please.
Immediately.
Yeah.
It's their first instinct.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking about replacement, think about augmentation, enhancement.
Yeah.
Make like cyborgs out of your employees, that they're able to work a lot more productively using AI tools. and then you're going to get the productivity of maybe double or triple inside of your company, inside of your labor force, for the cost of no hiring, and just for the cost of a few either subscriptions or in-house development of these AI tools. I think it's important.
But Ivan, you said the most important thing, if used properly. Now, it's a new technology. Not every organization in the world has an AI officer. Not every organization in the world is like up to date, catching up the latest trend. AI is into schools, but I guess is used secretly by the student, not really implemented by the teachers, because by the time something gets implemented into public schools, it takes forever. So how do we learn the way to implement it properly if it's not taught in the unis, it's not taught at school? Businesses are they don't really have dedicated people. So there is a big gap now from what it can do, how it's understood, and how it should be utilized properly.
Now I feel like I took you through the same journey that our board of directors went through the thought process. And their answer was, we need to consolidate this decision-making process in a new department that will answer these questions. Because for every company, it's different. For every school, it's going to be different. So this kind of like AI officer, or whichever way that you want to call it, head of AI guru, whatever it is that the way that you're going to call it, is a person who is essentially a project manager / product owner who will build a successful customized business application of AI for you and your tasks. Some things can be replicated from other companies. So these companies now, because of the AI hype and the boom, they're speaking very publicly about how they're doing the things, because people probably remember that there was a time a few years ago when companies were holding these kind of productivity hacks as secret as they possibly could. If they found a way to make sure that everybody at work is more productive, is outputting more, and being more creative and being better at their job, they would not go to big conferences and immediately scream about how they did it. With AI, thankfully, every single company is at every single conference, and they're saying we use this tool to do this, and we saw this productivity boost, etc. So you can try to copy and replicate what industry giants are doing, what other companies are doing. You can speak to people in the AI space who are responsible for taking these kinds of decisions, like AI officers or heads of AI, or you can just try to do it yourself. I mean, the market right now, I believe, is oversaturated with AI tools that are super custom to everything. Like, here's an AI tool specifically for the logistics market. Here's just for the shipping industry, and within the shipping industry, you just need to just for this one specific thing, inventory management.
I am so sick of AI startups. So sick. Just by thinking about it, I get enraged again, because I went to a couple of conferences recently. There is nothing else, And the template goes as follows. We are the AI-powered XYZ that does XYZ for the market, every single one. And it's fascinating that people think that AI is the competitive edge, right? AI is your value proposition. AI is your brand strategy. It's just a tool, So it doesn't mean anything that you are the AI-powered thing. Everything's going to be AI-powered in a way soon.
Exactly. But not every company is ready to have an internal startup that will answer these questions. And that's how these AI startups are surviving right now.
True.
I'm not sure how long they will survive. You remember going to conferences and hearing that everything will be on the blockchain. Your McDonald's order is going to be on the blockchain.
What happened to blockchain?
Exactly. Yes.
Poor thing.
It still exists.
But no one gives a fuck anymore. Isn't it? It has to be AI.
No offense to blockchain experts who are watching this episode.
But having a hard time.
Yes.
I imagine them going to a VC.
Yes.
And I said, we are the blockchain. Said, go back, come back when you have the AI powered.
2020 called, and they want their slogan back.
That's so COVID. Now it's AI.
Yes. So we're going to see something similar. I believe that AI is slightly more widely applicable than blockchain. Yeah. Even though now, of course, everybody is, I'm gonna say it, lying through their teeth about the things that AI is able to do. It's not thinking at the level of beyond human. It's never going to. This is my prediction. It will never achieve this superhuman kind of intellect and intelligence for solving very, very complicated creative tasks.
Why? Because we will not let him, or is simply is not going to be able to learn that way?
I believe mathematically it's impossible. It is impossible because simply because of the basic mathematical properties of statistical models. There's something that's called, wow, we're going deep into the math. Okay. In statistics, there's something that's called asymptotics.
Okay.
And asymptotics means as the number of data samples grows to infinity, something is going to happen. So
Yeah.
for example, your model is going to be completely the same as the data is created.
It's almost
So-
like a vase that if it spills, it overflows, and nothing really happens.
Correct. So
useful.
yes, the accuracy is 100%. It cannot get better.
Yeah.
As your data size is infinite, your model is as good as reality.
Yeah,
It represents
hits a
reality
ceiling.
perfectly. It's a mirror. It's a perfect mirror. It's not matte. It is a perfect smooth mirror. What all of the large language models are approximation of generation of words in a sentence, in a cohesive manner. And it trains on vast amounts of data. Evidence number one, we're already running out of good human-generated data. Companies like OpenAI are hiring doctors, lawyers, specialists in their field to sit down and generate data for the OpenAI models to train on to increase their accuracy because they've
Wow.
consumed everything that already exists out there that they could get their hands on. For those interested, check out the copyright lawsuits against OpenAI. They scraped everything that they could on the internet, archives, everything. And they've run out. They need more data to make their models better. So we're hitting a plateau in terms of accuracy. Can we generate more human data? Yes, but it's going to take so much time. Think about it. The internet has been around for quite a while, and we were able to consume all of it and feed it to models in a couple of years.
Wild.
We've eaten everything we can, and we're still hungry. To surpass human intellect capabilities for an AI model, it needs to be trained on data that surpasses human intellect. Do we have this data? We don't. Because as it currently stands, don't know how relevant this statement is going to be in 1,000 years, humans are currently the most intelligent species on this planet, specifically.
And this is the beginning of a sci-fi movie. Ivan said that, and now we're ruled by robots.
And humans, the data we generalize it's following the distribution of our intelligence.
Yeah.
So the best that these models are going to get is a very, very smart human being.
It's like a chicken and egg situation, isn't it? Like they both of them, they need to progress in a way, which is a danger because like if AI keeps still being so trendy and people get misusing it, then starting from them being kids, they probably don't get much into writing and into research because it's done for them. And then probably, if nothing, one negative is that it will makes us average or keeps us average. You know, people will just stop there and they will not push the boundaries because maybe we will not have Michelangelo or Caravaggio or any of these, or Einstein or any of these big geniuses if for them was already chewed and fed and made easy.
I don't want to say whether I agree or disagree, but I want to propose an alternate reality that is a little bit more hopeful. Imagine a world where AI tools are able to become such a productive part of the labor force, even autonomously, let's say. Autonomously, they're able to pick up certain tasks which nobody wants to do, but they must be done, that it allows human beings to live in a slightly stressful environment where they are able to nurture their creativity because they don't have to sacrifice their creative ambitions
With all the rest.
to fill the jobs which are currently boring and laborious.
Yeah.
So this is the whole thing. If you remember, a few years ago, there was a crisis in America where everybody in the trucking industry was terrified that trucking will be completely replaced. And there was the whole joke of, okay, truckers, learn to code. It's time to learn to code. You can't drive trucks anymore, learn to code. And there was there was a popular presidential candidate who was running on the platform of universal basic income. He was saying automation is going to replace so many people that we need to start paying people just to live.
Yeah.
So, okay, back then this was a super advanced conversation to have. just based on the fact that potentially trucking will be automated. Asterisk, it was not fully automated ever. So it was, again, people being very, very, very afraid of a technology that was not ready to do what people claimed it will be able to do. And however, AI potentially will be able to get us to the point, I believe, where we might actually start considering universal basic income and considering that the productivity of autonomous AI tools is enough to prop up the economy to a point where some people will be able to enjoy a life of creative liberty and become the next Michelangelo and become the next Picasso or the next Mozart, because they will not have to potentially, I don't know, flip burgers at McDonald's or be a concierge at a 3-star hotel just because there has to be one.
No, makes a lot of sense. And from a business perspective and a product perspective, what's your view on what makes a good product? Or like, you know, there is tons in there, and you've seen tons, successful, less successful. So what's your definition of a good AI product?
A good AI product does not scream that it's an AI product. This for me is something that I've researched a lot and have noticed is that if there is a large button that's AI something within your product, it is robbing your users of their customer experience and of what the tactile feel of what you're offering towards them with your product. Let me do this for you, basically. This is what you're telling to the user. You came here to me with a question, and let me just do it for you. At the end of the day, customer experience is rewarding to a user when they feel like they have achieved a good mastery of using a product themselves, right? So I'm really enjoying using my iPhone because I feel like the way that I'm using my iPhone makes me super efficient at the tasks I need to do on my phone.
It's your way.
It's my way that I'm using the iPhone, even though you probably use it the same way. But you also feel that you are productive because you figured out how to use your iPhone the correct way.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of already AI tools within your iPhone that are, okay, they're not generative AI, so they do not fall under this branch. However, notification prioritization, there's now these called scheduled summaries that are coming in, what get displayed where.
It's interesting. Are you going into, instead of do it for you, done with you in your way?
Correct.
So instead of replacing is enhancement.
First of all, it's hyper-personalization. At the end of the day, I believe that a great AI product should be able to understand exactly who the individual user is, what their goals are from this product, what they enjoy looking at, what features they like using, which features they dislike using. And within a few uses of a product, my product and your product should look different. Because mine is
100% agree.
Tailored to my needs, yours is tailored to your needs.
100% agree. And I think it's a huge trend, personalization, that has been going on for so many years. Consumers do expect to have some level of personalization in any product. And it was markets like luxury, they lived on that, right? Exclusivity, personalization, concierge, making you feel special, the whole customer journey. Oh, I'm not part of a bunch of ICPs. I am the ICP for them. I'm feeling like I am the person for them. I think AI makes that so much easier.
And affordable.
Yeah.
The reason why luxury brands could do it is because they could afford it. They could afford these concierges. Now anybody can afford an AI concierge. And if it's done actually properly, it's not going to suck.
Yep.
And it's actually going to give users great customer experience in a very personalized manner.
Yeah, it's interesting. So maybe we're going to move into a future where the actual hardware looks the same, but the software is completely different based on the actual person using it.
The hardware part, I completely agree with you. Even now, if you're looking at the big competitive, for example, phone manufacturers, right? Everybody who is competing for the top spot, where it's an iPhone, a Samsung Galaxy flagship model, or a OnePlus, etc., they look almost the same. They look almost identical. We're really converging recently with the limits of what the current hardware technology is able to offer us. We're really converging to an optimal product where all competition looks the same with tiny minor tweaks.
True.
And where are we going now? Every single one of these competitors in terms of technology are now speaking louder about their software than they are about their hardware. Before it used to be, oh yeah, the new Apple chip, so much better than the competition. Now it's like, yeah, all the chips are pretty much the same in all the phones.
Yeah.
But Apple Intelligence, wow.
Yeah.
Samsung Intelligence, good.
Yeah.
Google did a great job, but Apple, that's the one I'm going to go for.
Yeah, that's why I'm also really excited about branding in the future as well, and especially B2B branding as well, because like there is no again, for the lack of a better word, no true innovation anymore, or even better, innovation is not defendable. Mr. Liu next week out of China has done it better, done it cheaper. That's it. If that was your unique selling proposition, you're fucked. It's not defendable. So there has to be a much more better integrated approach between personalization, AI, software, and hardware, than that you give a more perceived value and probably more on an emotional level as well.
Definitely.
Right.
I'm very excited for when psychologists are going to be working alongside the AI teams in order to make sure that it aligns perfectly with what a person will expect.
The human needs.
It's such an interesting intersection between the psychology in customer experience and how AI tools are being used right now.
Yeah.
The AI tool, like I said, it really needs to be working alongside you. It should feel seamlessly like you are achieving more by using this tool and faster, and you're learning it better.
Almost.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a part of you through everything that it learns about you, and is it then able to make the correct decisions of what to show you, when, and how.
And even before we go, AI and Cyprus, puimaste.
Well, the big reason why I enjoy having these kind of conversations is because I feel like AI still has space to grow. So I'm trying to be like an ambassador for AI and speak as loudly as I can, because from the research and studies that I see, is actually Cyprus, compared to even the rest of the European Union, is still very hesitant on AI. I believe in terms of the young population, a study that I saw recently is Cyprus ranks the highest in terms of AI let's say fear in terms of young population and speculation on whether it's good or not.
Wow.
And our young population is the least integrated with AI tools on the market from all of Europe. So we really have still a long way to go. Even so, as Netherlands, France, England, all of them have a long way to go. But Cyprus has an even longer way to go to catch up.
Do you think is there a correlation between how big the service industry in Cyprus is and this negativity and the fear of, oh my God, this a lot of popular and potentially commoditized tools and jobs will be replaced by it?
This is a really, really good question. The Cyprus market is very, very unique. It's the companies that thrive here are very specific in the kind of products that they build, in the kind of products that they develop. And the technology market here is also very, very, very specific and very concentrated. These companies, I can assure you, are already using AI. They're definitely already fully integrated. They're using AI, they understand it, and they work with it. However, now it's the task of the AI task force in order to actually nurture the cross-industry collaboration in terms of AI, and to develop the long-term strategy on where AI will go strategically inside of Cyprus. I'm very excited to see what their updated strategy is going to be for AI in Cyprus. But the idea is we need to be integrating AI from early education, so high school, through university, and post to go into the labor force, because the competition is going to be wild for the entry jobs in the future. And whoever is not already at the level of being ready to be an AI augmented employee is going to have a difficult time. So we have every country has a lot, including Cyprus, a lot of a way to go in order to incorporate all of this into education and into our critical thinking systems.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see how Cyprus is going to do.
No, I agree with you. I think we need to be careful on stop being reactive to AI, which obviously we didn't have it AI, right? So we are reacting to AI because you studied without AI, I studied without AI. We're coming from that transitional generation from analogical to digital. We had to figure out a lot of stuff. And one of the stuff that we have to figure out now is AI. But I think the new generation that will actually have AI implemented from day zero into their life, that is where it's going to get really, really interesting.
Definitely.
Yeah. Ivan, thank you very much for your time. I know that you're a busy person. Tell to everyone where we can find you the most, what are you working on next, and so how can people can connect with you?
Thank you very much. You can definitely connect with me via my LinkedIn profile. It will be in the description of this video.
Yeah, probably here.
And please do feel free to reach out to me. I'm available for even short appointments to discuss your AI strategy. We need to collaborate in the AI space together in order to achieve great results by sharing our knowledge and sharing our intuition on how we do these things. Therefore, everything is permitted. Please reach out to me and let's have a productive conversation.
Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for listening. Again, please remember to support us. We are trying to shape together and promote together this mid-scale IoT island, small but mighty. So if you subscribe, share, and like, you will help us keep us going. Thank you very much, Ivan. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you for
having me.
And I'll
see you next time.